So there was aircraft in between Prabhuji and us. Then there was traffic in between Prabhuji and us. Now it's me between Prabhuji and you. So I'll not take more than a minute. Just a quick introduction for some of you who don't know His Grace Dwarkadish Prabhu and Mataji, Vishaka Priya Mataji. So Prabhuji is in Krishna consciousness since 1980s, mid-1980s. He is a doctor by profession, and his congregation, they started in ISKCON in Chowpatty in Bombay, and it's a very vibrant congregation. Some of you who have already experienced going to Bombay, and Prabhuji and some of his friends together as doctors, they had started Chaitanya Polyclinic, and which is what transformed over a period of time into Bhaktivedanta Hospital. So in short, Prabhuji is one of the founders of Bhaktivedanta Hospital. Hari Bo. Okay, I'm going to say something different now. ISKCON Chowpatty is famous for saying Hari Bols loudly 3 times. I'm not. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Yes, we can do better, but at the end maybe. Okay, so Prabhuji and Mataji have been traveling for the last 5 to 10 years to different countries, communities, devotees, and they have been inspiring many young couples, and also even before marriage, how to get into this relationship and how to deal with it, what are the challenges we have. So how many here have issues in their married lives? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, so we have interested audience here. I was thinking today the program is starting so late, so Grihastha life is complicated in all the ways. Even when the topic is like this, speaker also comes very late. So I'll just start with a small joke. Recently one Mataji asked me, Prabhuji, how to select a best partner? So I was saying your question is like a negotiation between a Marwadi and a Gujarati. Right? Both want to squeeze the maximum out of each other. Right? So one Marwadi sold a well to a Gujarati, well. Right? And next day morning Gujarati called him and said, I sold the well but not the water. Right? And Marwadi said, that's what I wanted to call you. You have to pay rent for that water. Right? So the squeezing is going on both the ways. So we have a lot of challenges. Without any more delay, I'm going to give the mic to them. Let's all hear and let's get inspired, and let's take good suggestions and clues how to lead our life in a better Krishna conscious way. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदा सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। सप्तकांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna. Please accept our sincerest apologies for our unexpected, uncontrolled delay. We had all intentions to reach here in time and serve all of you to the best of our capacity, but we are not the controllers, we are taught already that, and it was proved today we are not in control, neither you nor us. The factors beyond us which made us delayed. The voice is reaching you all behind the Mataji's Prabhu's. Is the voice reaching you all? In audible?
You are very crazy. Very crazy. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Is it audible behind now? Mataji's, is it audible? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So let us begin our discussion without any delay. First of all, of course, thank you all for assembling for today's, I would say, a very, very important forum which the temple has organized today for all of us to discuss something which we don't really discuss in our usual gatherings at Bhagavatam classes and things like that. And yet, I'm sure all of us are keenly aware about the pivotal importance which our family life plays in our Krishna consciousness. It affects it to a very, very, very large extent. So, the first slide. Yeah, you have your remote. Okay. I'll start with a very small but important story, just to bring the topic to focus. There's a story of a young boy living in America who grew up in a family, as happens in America many a times, grew up in a broken family because his father and mother separated out through divorce when he was a young boy. A sad story of breakage of a very beautiful relationship. As the child grew, being born of a rich father, he wasn't deprived of anything which money could buy. Best of cars, mansions to live in, the best of foods, and the best of whatever the world of America had to provide. And yet, as he grew up, this young boy, as adolescent, developed a very keen sense of deficiency in his heart. His heart asked a question from within, what it means to live in a family. What is a family? What it means to stay with a mother or a father together. What it means to stay with the brothers and sisters. His search became so intense, he asked questions to many people. I want to experience family life. Where do I get family life? His questions were answered by people who said that there is only one place in the world where the family structure is still alive and preserved to a decent extent, and that is India. So you'll have to go to India to experience family life. He was dead serious, and therefore he came to India. And he landed in Banaras. And he went to different homes, just like that, knocking at doors. He said, can I stay with you all to experience the love of a family? Some good, sajjan, gentlemanly family invited him to their home and he started staying with them. About 2 years later, some of our ISKCON devotees in December, marathon, not race, but marathon, book marathon race. they were visiting and they were knocking at different doors for selling Srila Prabhupada's books. And then they went to this house, and the person who opened the house was this boy, and he spoke in English. The devotee said, looking at the foreign skin, he said, "This is Prabhupada's books," and he started introducing. And this boy spoke in very pure, nice Hindi. इस किताब में क्या लिखा है, ये आप क्यों बेच रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं? So he was surprised, and the whole story came out, right? And then of course he took the books. He was blessed by Prabhupada, and he not only got the family which he wanted for his emotional gratification and inner peace, but he also joined the large family of Srila Prabhupada, and he became a Vaishnava. Hare Krishna, right? So how many of us sitting in this room ever thought that simply having a family is a blessing of God? If you have thought like this, you all are cultured, wonderful human beings from higher planets. Because we think of blessings as when you get money or a good job or buy a nice car, or maybe because you join Krishna consciousness is a great blessing, which it is. However, just to have a family is a blessing. And how do we utilize this facility of a family in a way that can help us perfect the goal of our life is the very purpose of Krishna conscious Varnashram Dharma as far as householders. That how Krishna provides the family as a means, as a tool, as a facility, as a blessing, as an opportunity to fulfill the very aim of human existence. And therefore the discussion how to amalgamate Krishna consciousness and family life into a beautiful, nice fabric is what we will talk about in the next whatever time we have together. Right? So, look at family life like this. It has got any building. Look at it like a nice, beautiful, big building. Right? A building has three major parts. It has got a foundation which is under the ground. The superstructure which you see outside as cement, concrete, plaster, etc. has nice, beautiful interiors, right? Which is called as the inner decor, right? So these are three parts of what makes a beautiful, nice building. Similarly, the character of what goes into making a family life is actually the foundation. The commitment of the family people, especially husband and wife, to each other. The superstructure is one that gives strength to the entire structure because it has got taut steel and plaster and cement and RCC, right? Pillars and beams, right? So that is what gives the strength, and that strength comes from number two, that is the commitment factor. How much is the willingness of the partners to commit to the relationship and make it work in a nice direction? That commitment to the relationship is what gives the superstructure strength. And the care, the emotional exchanges of love, affection, right? And through good behavior and good gestures and good language, etc., right? That is the soft part, the delicate part of a relationship. That is the inner decor, which is what makes the house beautiful from within. Right? So these are the three parts. I will talk about that as we go further. Yeah. So these three, look at this as, when we are born in this world, in earlier times, that's what the slide says, we have got kavach. Kavach means kavach is a barrier, it's an armor which you wear when you go for a war, right? To protect yourself from lethal injury, fatal injury. So also, my dear friends, when we are born in this world, if we are born at times when there was, in the times of yore, when there were good kings, good praja, Vedic times, the kavach worked in such a way that the king promoted dharma, the society, that Kavach number 2 was the social fabric which was full of people who had charitra, who had culture, who had sabhyata, who had sanskriti. So that has a next Kavach to prevent you from bad influences, and their own intrinsic character was your third Kavach. Right? In today's world, my dear friends, if you examine very closely, the government in any way, of course, people may say today's government is a little better than the previous government, so we won't get into that. But the government does not so much promote, at least for the last 60 years of our independence, not supportive. The society is in a complete mess, where hedonism, uncontrolled sense gratification is the order of the day. That is destroyed. And the charitra is, right from college days, those who are gone through college, we know what happens in colleges. Right from that time itself, your charitra is completely eroded out, and you become a completely naked person, just getting attacked by all the vices of the world with no protection to your consciousness. So it's a complete erosion of values, and the consciousness is completely lost. Right? So what we have done over the last several years, being a part of the Grihasta vision team of Chowpatty Temple, of which there are 7 Grihastas, Vishaka, Priya, myself, we are one of the team of Grihastas who have been doing this. We were given this sacred service by the temple to spread the word of Prabhupada in terms of strengthening his Varnashram dream of bringing about stable Krishna conscious families wherever we could travel and do that. So for the last about 15 years or so, we've been traveling different parts of India and abroad, trying to help various communities in our ISKCON society to live more happier, Krishna conscious, stable families. Right? And the way we do it is we have, of course, we have several modules. This is a previous slide. There are 10, there are even more have been created now. We also have been doing pre-marital training for unmarried boys and girls at Chowpatty Temple, but maybe that's not relevant over here. But you can see here the cultural drift, strengthening the bonds, understanding responsibility and duties, role of women's psychology, having good attitudes, living with all our differences, communication skills, sexual needs, etc. Right? So these are some topics which are discussed, and Krishna willing, if we have more time, we can go into, because my dear friends, what will be done today will be more to prime you to create a sense of awareness, right? And we'll talk about some details, of course, but it's a vast subject going to several hundreds of hours of discussion, right? So we hope that we can at least make inroads into our discussion today. So the original culture, let's start like this. The original culture of the world, of the spiritual world, is a spiritual culture where there is Krishna in the center, right? And all of you know Jananivas Prabhu? How many of you know Jananivas Prabhu? Yeah, I think he's one of the most worshipped devotees in our society, right? And I want to quote him on this, right? He says that the whole spiritual world is all about family life. Why? Because all living beings in the spiritual world are living with our Supreme Father, Sri Krishna, and our most worshipful Mother, Srimati Radharani. And therefore the whole of Braj, the whole of Golok Vrindavan, which is immense in dimensions, almost unlimited in dimension, is all a beautiful Krishna-centered family situation. When that family life, of which you and me have been a part, of course we have forgotten that, we are re-establishing that relationship, when it gets reflected into the material world, it is called as the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture is merely a beautiful culture which the sages and rishis have preserved, the gurus have, acharyas have preserved, which comes closest to the culture of the spiritual sky. Right? As time passes by, the culture is, through Satyuga to Kali Yuga, the culture is, as Dharma gets broken down, all of you know, cleanliness, austerity, mercy and truthfulness are the 4 legs of Dharma, and they get systematically destroyed by the forces of time till we enter into Kali Yuga, where there is complete destruction of all the legs. Right? So, in this context, you and I are seeing in the world today that there is complete destruction of the sacred Vedic culture. Now think, my dear friends, of the beauty and the power and the purity of one man, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, that he actually, in Ghor Kali Yuga, made a powerful attempt and successful to re-establish what was lost for thousands of years, the pure Krishna conscious culture of the spiritual world. Something which nobody even thought about, nobody desired about, nobody managed to do it. It was an unthinkable situation. How could Ghor Kali Yuga, with all four legs of Dharma being destroyed, can somebody bring the pure Krishna consciousness of the spiritual world again on this planet? But Prabhupada is a Mahapurush, a Saktavesha avatar of the Lord, and therefore he did what was impossible. And the way Prabhupada did it, when we examine, he created beautiful temples. Now, if you look at this model, and I'll bring you slowly to the topic of family life as you follow, if you follow the thought process I'm giving. What Prabhupada did was very important and very, very systematic. If you look into India, all of you have been to Jagannath Puri, right? The center of the entire town is who? Lord Jagannath. He is the Lord, he is the master, he is the boss, right? Of the entire place. Everything in Puri is centered around him. One beautiful form of the Lord centered around the people. You go to Tirupati Balaji temple, Venkateshwar. The Lord is there and the whole town is worshipping him. You go to Pandharpur, the Lord is there, the whole town is worshipping him. You go to Dakor, one Lord and the whole town is worshipping him. Right? So you go to Badrinath, one Lord and the whole town is worshipping him. So in this way, Prabhupada, and the Vedic concept of Dharma in this world in India is that the Lord's powerful forms are installed and the whole community of people living around worships that and uses that facility of the Lord's presence to center their lives in Krishna consciousness, just like the spiritual world. Krishna in the center, everyone centered around Krishna. So you can see the parallel of what India has been made up into. That's how India has been a very God-centered. There are so many such cities in India which are like that. Right? Prabhupada did something very similar. Right? He created temples and congregations. So Prabhupada created congregations around. Earlier at that time it was more full-timers to start the temple. As Prabhupada's mercy spread around, congregations were created, right? You go to Alachua, you go to New Jersey, we're talking about New Jersey with Prabhu, Edison, Tobacco Temple, congregation. And as you were sharing in the car on the drive, you feel like a family there. You go to Tobacco Temple, family. You go to Kolhapur, the one temple, people around. You go to Nasik, the one temple, people around, right? You go to many temples, you go to Chowpatty temple, one temple, everyone seated around, right? So this model is something which Prabhupada society is also adopting. So, you and I have been fortunate to be part of this culture. Every society, every movement, spiritual movement has got two parts. The philosophy and the culture. The two parts to any religious movement. ISKCON also, what we stand for, what Prabhupada has two parts. Culture and the philosophy. Now I have a simple but important question to ask all of you. Of the two, which is more powerful in stabilizing the life of devotees and spreading Krishna consciousness?
Culture.
What would you say?
Culture.
How many would vote for culture? How many will vote for philosophy? Yeah. So it's not that we don't vote for philosophy. Philosophy, the books are the basis, Prabhupada said. However, the connection is important to understand. Culture is philosophy in action. It is a culture which makes the philosophy viable. It is what the culture that inmates, the devotees, they practice. It makes the philosophy come alive. Otherwise, it will remain just a book of knowledge to be kept on the shelf in the library, right? Kept on the book on the library as it is, right? And therefore, when devotees practice this Vaishnava, now we can say Vedic, but a more specific word than Vedic is actually Vaishnava culture. It is the most refined part, the more crystallized essence of Vedas is Bhagavatam, and we are Bhagavad Dharma, right? And therefore we have the crystallized Vaishnava culture to follow. And therefore, when intelligent people like yourself and people whom we are trying to preach to, if they have to come to ISKCON, they don't come here for prasadam. They don't come for seeing beautiful temples and nice structures. What they are going to be attracted to is how the devotees live, how they talk, how they behave, and what is the caliber of their personal family life. When that is what is seen, then not one or two, but tens of thousands of millions will join our society, because that they are not getting in material life, right? And therefore, therefore essentially Prabhupada divided, as per the Bhagavad philosophy, family life into two types. One is Grihasta life, other is Grihastha life. Now Grihastha life is also family life, but it is a more or less just a sprinkle maybe of spirituality may be there. Like a garden, like kothmir and some, little bit of what you put, coconut powder on the offering, and like that. But the substance is not there. There's a little bit of show of dharma is there. But everyone in Grihastha life lives a selfish life in the family life for their own personal sense gratification without any dharmic principles, without any values, may not be with hardly any morality sometimes, right? And on the other hand is Grihastha life, where we attempt to, at least we attempt to live a life as per the principles given to us by Krishna, by Sri Gurudev, and by the books, right? So, print is very small, but let us at least enumerate, we may not go into details, what are the goals of Grihastha Ashram. But when we talk about the Grihastha Ashram, I must talk about the word Ashram first. How many of you feel that you are in a Grihastha Ashram? How many of you are living in a Grihastha Ashram? Not sure. You didn't answer my question. How many of you are living in a Grihastha Ashram? Okay. The question means that you all are having families and you all are practicing Krishna consciousness. But the question is to make that entire atmosphere of the house into what it means to have an ashram. When you say ashram, ashram gives idea like when sadhus stay. This is the sadhu's ashram. Some Baba is staying, some renunciant is staying, some Vairagi is staying, some Moni Baba or somebody is living with long beard, who's not spoken anything for 10 years, but he's takes only milk and dry leaves, or ashram. From the hermitage is there, grass, some cows here and there are grazing, right? This is sacred ashram. Some Maharaj is playing inside, who is very difficult to meet, and right, etc., etc. Right? That is conjuring the image of what is called as a ashram. Some of you may be living in 1 BHK, 2 BHK. Some of you may be blessed by a little more wealth, 3 BHK. Some may be having mansions, and maybe I hope nobody is living in palace here. Right? So really, But we are supposed to think that that is what? This is a ashram. So ashram concept is to be understood. Ashram means a place where every member of the family gets ashray. Ashray. That atmosphere is so sanctified, it is so pure, such high degree of the mode of goodness is there in the atmosphere, such harmonious interpersonal relationship exists of respect and love, affection, service attitude and sacrifice, that the atmosphere created by the members is like what you would see in an ashram. Okay? So that is what is called Grihastha ashram. And let's see what the goals are. Of course, you know there are 4 ashrams. I don't want to repeat that. Grihastha, Vanapastha, Brahmachari and Sannyas. The goals are, and try to take these goals to heart, because that's what we are supposed to achieve. It is not, and people, sometimes you ask people, why did you get married? Shadi kyun kiya? It was an economic convenience. Right? The girl said it was economic because I would need some support, somebody to maintain me all my life. So married this Prabhu, this person, because he was well-paying job, and so it was more like an economic convenience. So people marry for different reasons. Whatever reasons we have married for before we become devotees, now we are trying to redefine our purpose of entering into life. We married because she was a nice girl, I liked her, she was in college, Hare Krishna. I looked at her, she looked at me, and something happened. We don't know what happened, but suddenly found we are going around the fire. And both of us are into fire now also a little bit. Right? So that is what we married for. Some infatuation was there, whatever. However the marriage, arranged marriage, love marriage, any marriage, whatever, that's fine. But now that in the present tense, what is the goal we want to achieve? Right? So the goals are to encourage each other. Even I am not going to see with my specs.
Yeah, to encourage each other, then to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to perform our duties properly, to set a good example to the whole world, to give empowered Krishna conscious children to the world, to practice spiritual life, and to genuinely be happy and to appreciate Krishna consciousness in a healthy home environment.
Before she takes the mic, a little, it's important to note this. ISKCON has gone through various phases. I think some of you are older.